Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court and other court issues as well as CPS. I'm your host, and we're going to talk about a non-denominational retreat weekend at the Resolution Center in Jacksonville, Florida. This will be a time of support and renewal for parents and grandparents on the journey of parental alienation, standing strong in resilience, paving the way for good health and a great future. This will take place April 22nd through the 24th of 2022 at the Resolution Center. I will have all the details in the podcast notes. Right now, I have a return guest. Along with another guest, I have Mark T. Andrews. He was just on last week podcast, Season 3, Episode 11. He's on here with Michelle Garcia. Today, Michelle Garcia and Mark Andrews are going to talk about their CPS debacle in Los Angeles, false claims made by county council and CPS against a licensed court-bonded officer. Now, a lawsuit is going to be following up. So I welcome you to the show, or back to the show, Mark, and I welcome you, Michelle, as well.
Thank you for having us, Maryann. It's great to be back on the show.
Thank you for this opportunity. Seriously, it's a blessing and a huge dream come true.
Well, thank you for coming on and being brave to come on and tell your story, because we need people to be talking about what's really going on. And I don't know who wants to lead first. Mark, I don't know if you want to lead it.
Yes, Maryann. I met Michelle about a year ago based on that video we talked about in the first time I was on your show. Thanks to Mark Fiedelman and Kids Matter down in San Diego, highlighting the corruption in the Sonoma County court system with Commissioner Louise Bales Flightmaster, doctoring transcripts. And we took that all the way out to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and we're not done with it yet, although they think we're done with it. Still working in there. But in the process, Michelle Garcia down in Burbank, California, saw that video, contacted me online. And my folks live down in the area, so we got together, we started talking, and shared some of my experiences and some of the laws and things I've learned in my own case. And some of those laws actually ended up being an advantage to Michelle based on what she's going through with Child Protective Services. So why don't I let Michelle tell you a little bit about how her kids were taken away by CPS and given to her mom.
Okay. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, I'm so thankful and so determined to, I mean, my case, I hate to say this, I've lost hope. It's done, and I have to say that within myself, because I have been given hope literally and taken it back. Given hope. I mean, to anybody, it's like taking candy from a baby. We'll try an adult, and big candy, and it's not healthy mentally, So my protection for my own mental state it's done. I just lost. That's it. With that said, all these actions I've done of fighting and trying for them, look, my kids got my blood in them. They'll come find me when they can. It doesn't have to be 18. And when they come, I want them to know who I am now. And a role model for them to look up to would be their mother, who never did shut up, who never did. And this situation will not go in vain with me to share. Because if I didn't share this and just been quiet, then you know what? It went in vain. You know what I'm saying? Because in my head, it's already been determined. I lost.
And then she met the storm from the north with an undeniable and unbeatable fighting spirit who says you never give up on your kids, especially like mine now that they're 24 and 26, although my daughter in 12 days will be 27. And again, I haven't seen them in 9 years. But want to give Michelle some hope. Her daughters are 4 and 1. I met the lovely little 1-year-old while I was out in Menifee.
They're 5 and 2 now, Mark. You've been there so long now. They're 5 and 2 now. You've been that long. Yeah, when he came in, they were 5 and 1. But he has been some of my biggest support. I called him crying. I've called him scared. I've called him before, not knowing, called him to say hello, to check on him. He's earned a spot in my heart that's now he's my family. And I've also seen my situation hurt him and bring up his own trauma and PTSD. And that's what this situation does to people. It brings out their upset, their care. If they care, they're mad and they can't do anything. So they take it out, on me. And different, what comes with her is drama, because my life is centered around this right now. And it's not just the kids they take away. No, they take away your entire life when they take away your kids. And then it's a lifestyle.
And your drive.
It's like, okay, conduct normally. We're going to take this out. Okay, my day is structured around activities for them. What? And you want me to just live normal life? Well, no. And what I feel is what they do is they paint this picture of this monster. Okay, let's say it's false. In my case, it false. But then they torture you so much. And this is a form of torture. They torture you to become that monster. If they do a boo-boo, and I started saying this from the beginning, when they took Faith on a warrant for a 21-year-old Northern European infant. That's a 21-year-old infant, Pacific Northern European. That was, I think, go ahead.
And the part she's talking about there, Maryann, where when I got involved, I got to know about the family dynamic where Michelle was living with her grandmother, and then next thing you know, mom who gets the kids and then takes the grandmother, and is just, it seems like she's on a money grab.
It was very funny. She came, and Nana used to cry how her kids don't even call her. I've lived with Nana for 10 years. I know what shows she likes, what time she feeds her dogs, what she likes to eat, what time she likes to eat, everything. We go to the dollar store together. I listen to old music with her, and she used my situation with CPS to say I'm unsafe. Yeah. So
and
Nana,
in the course of that, Michelle received a package of heart medicine. I would know about this. Why? Because I've had
recently.
2 heart attacks. Yeah. And I took it upon myself, because Michelle has the restraining order with her mother, the foster mother, and couldn't go out and bring Nana her medicine. So I went out there and brought the medicine.
And I called several times, left messages, actually spoke to my mother and let her know there's a restraining order on the property. So, but I let her know I had this medication.
And so I went out there and I presented my badge to the Ring doorbell, which is video of this that's attached to her CPS report. Her mother came to the door. I presented my ID, said I was there. I needed to see Lois Ross, her grandmother. I had a package for her. Mother goes in the house. She comes back. She wants you to come inside. They invite me in. And I believe I was in there about 45 minutes or so, give or take 10 minutes either way. Spoke with the grandmother, met the little 1-year-old patient. She's such a sweet little thing. Offered me a candy cane. Aww. And also told the foster mom, I says, hey, while I'm in town, here's my business card. I'd like to help facilitate visits between Michelle and her children. Here I am, a court officer, which is not a police officer, but a court officer. And then, I left politely. And true to what Michelle told me about her mother, not long after, I get a call from the Menifee Police Department. And there was an accusation that I had presented myself as a police officer and forced my way into the house, which was totally incorrect and is verified by the video in her CPS report. So I interview with this officer, and he doesn't tell me about the video or my card or anything. And I go through the course of the interview. And then finally I'm like, officer, how much more transparent can I be? I give her my business card with all my contact, my license, I'm bonded. What more can I do? And he goes, I know what you gave her because I'm holding the business card in my hand. And he closed the issue because it wasn't an issue. I didn't misrepresent myself. Her mother, the foster mother, didn't like this at all and decided to report this to the CPS investigator as if I did all that, falsely presented myself and forced my way in. And this was put in the CPS report. And back in November, it was used to get a restraining order against me. And that alone lit me up because it's libel, it's in print, it was used in court to get a unconstitutional, because of lack of due process, lack of notice, restraining order against me from ever dealing with these children. And then fast forward a little bit, Michelle was really nervous about going into her hearing in January, understanding that they were about to try and take away her children and adopt them out to her mother. And I'm listening in on my phone was there for the Zoom cast, and I hear the county counsel, Deborah Franks, I believe her name is, tell the judge that I'm a sexual predator to make sure she cinched up that restraining order. And here I am, I've not been given any notice of these allegations against me. It's a dependency court. It's supposed to be closed, short of the fact that I help Michelle out and I advocate for her. You know, we're both ADA compliant Americans who, you know, going through it. Michelle's a cancer survivor. And I, you know, my heart procedures and stuff for my case. Hear this county counsel telling a judge that I'm a sexual predator in court, and I can't say a word. I can't respond. Nothing I can do. And we hung up the phone, and it's like, you know, there you got a libel in the report. You've got slander and defamation in the courtroom, and they're trying to isolate Michelle so they could do this adoption out with all this false narrative. And I don't know if you remember the big case in 2017, but Presley Hardwick sued, and it went to the Ninth Circuit in front of at the time, he was 10th highest judge from the top on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, Judge Stephen Trott. And he said that iconic line, no official with an IQ greater than the room temperature of a room in Alaska should be on notice that if you violate clearly established laws, you have no immunity. And I made sure to email that and highlights of that opinion to those social workers. I sent a note to the county council. Nothing, not a thing to correct it. All they care about is that federal funding and isolating Michelle from somebody who can help her out in any way.
And this is the third time they've done that in my situation. They put a restraining order in. You actually had her on your show too, Monica.
Mm-hmm.
They did that to her. They did that to my stepmom, Tammy. Anybody who stands up for me, they will knock down any way they can. The day that Monica did a cease and desist is the day that they came and took my youngest. The day that shutdown happened on a false warrant. I'm pretty 100% confident when I say that now. With other factors, I went and got that signature professionally examined, and 2 professionals in different states said they would bet their careers on that was a photocopy of my signature on the judge's line. So on top of that, how do you get a signature when all shut down orders, everything's shut down?
Yeah,
So
very suspicious.
And then I don't get a detention hearing for a week later without even notice, which means what I think they did is they waited to get the warrant, then did the detention hearing within that time frame, because in the emergency COVID procedures for court systems, there was no exception on that 72-hour time limit. So basically,
Michelle,
that's what I feel that they've done.
Michelle, why don't you tell them the effect this is having on Faith? I know I saw it in that video, how she just sits there and cries for her mother. And your mother, Lisa Hughes, I mean, for a grandmother, she has no empathy, whatever, for the child, let alone you.
She did that to me as a kid, literally.
That's terrible.
With my biological father. My biological father did do things that he was in prison, but he was, I'm telling you, between me and you, I knew my dad never had me in any kind of safety issues. And when he got out, he changed his life around. That was one of the reasons I dedicated myself to wanting to be in police and law enforcement. I wanted to be a probation parole, because those who do have rough paths, they change. Yes, like I said, I do believe people change. I changed because of my dad.
Sometimes you grow up. I mean, I was a wild man through my 30s.
But isn't that what you're supposed to do to grow up? You know?
Right.
So
I went from homeless to a corporate CEO now.
And you know, it amazes me how hypocritical, you know, my situation is. But I'm sorry, did I answer the question? Or where was I? I forgot.
It was about a video, something about a video.
Oh, it's a video. This video was probably one of the last times I willingly went to go see my kids. As an adult now, I remember sitting on this very front porch, this house's front porch, bawling for my dad. I remember being ripped away from my dad. Same with my grandparents, screaming every time saying goodbye. I don't ever remember saying hello. I don't remember first getting to Disneyland, but I remember leaving, you know. Kids remember that. As an adult now, my dad's not here. Excuse me, sorry. And I am being asked to put my kids in a situation that I know has, screwed me up now, mentally.
That you
That's a form of torture.
Yourself.
They're asking me to purposely hurt my kids, something I went through willingly. No. And then when I dropped her off this one particular night, it's because my mom let my girlfriend and I take her. She wouldn't let us take my infant, but she let me take her. So we went and took her to the bird store and a couple other places. And when we dropped her off, it was nighttime. And I remember she was crying. I go, baby, you got to be strong. No, mommy, no. And she won't let me hug her goodbye. She goes, just leave. I got it. Like every time she usually have me sneak out if she was monitoring, or she wouldn't let me say goodbye. No, Michelle, don't do that. Don't do that. Just go. So this time I don't give up. I'm not going to listen to everybody telling you what to do anymore. I'm going to do it my way because I've done it your way and it's not working. Obviously, it's not benefiting me. So I did it my way. I dropped her off. I walked up to the front porch and I hugged her, kissed her, and she's screaming, mommy, kicking the gate, everything. And I'm just like, and my girlfriend pulls my shirt. She goes, get in the car, let's go. And I start filming when I get in the car. And you can hear her with the windows up screaming mommy as I'm driving down the street. And I can't do anything about it. My kid is screaming, crying, reaching out for me. And I can't respond. I can't help her. I can't go to her. To a parent, that is nails on a chalkboard times a million.
So sorry.
And then I thought, I can't visit them anymore. I can't do this. Because every time I say goodbye, every time my daughter's nails were clenching on my youngest, because she won't let me put her down. I literally will go like this. She won't let me put her down. They ripped her out of her bed that night with both sides of my street blocked off because I wasn't going to give him my kid. I had a standoff. I didn't do anything wrong. And I told the police, you're going to have to take me to jail with the baby because I'm not putting her down. I had staples still in my stomach. But every time I say goodbye, I'm putting that trauma in them again. I'm like, you know what? Enough. You guys want to take my rights? Fine. But me, if it was up to me, I'd be selfish. I'd be there more and more and more. I can't do that to my kids anymore. I feel like throwing up when I say that. But I can't.
Has such an imprint on the child, Maryann. I've seen the face of that poor kid in the video, and I met the little one, and they just got to keep being, pulled away from their mother like that. It's horrifying.
And it's also very disturbing that, Michelle, your own mother is doing this to you.
She laughs at it. She said, I have a recording, where I was recording Nana. They said I'm not allowed to record. Excuse me, January 1st of 2020. Thank you for whoever made this law. 2021. If there's ongoing abuse and no one's listening, yes, you can record over the phone without permission or anything else. This is abuse.
Right,
okay?
It is.
This is abuse to me. This is targeted abuse and scapegoat abuse and gaslighting. So guess what? I record everything. And not only that, but my mind is so frantic, like we were talking earlier, that I forget. And I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg or the sun, So I record everything so I can go back to it. My recording space is very low. But,
that was valid to know for your listeners, because women and, children and stuff going through abuse, it should be recorded and it should be reported, because no parent, no child should have to go through such abuse and trauma.
No, because it reflects on your everyday life and lifestyle and situations, and monkey see, monkey do. Okay. My situation, and I'm so thankful I'm strong enough, like I said, mentally and educated and smart enough to know what I have to do. I know what I have to do in order for me to change the people, relations, and associations I have had my whole life. It's because monkey see, monkey do. I've tolerated a certain level of treatment or behaviors from others that everybody who comes and sees that, they kind of treat you the same subconsciously. So now I know and there's books about this. It's textbook. In order for gaslighting or scapegoat child, anybody, you almost literally have to pick up, leave everything. I'm not talking material things. Leave everything behind and start over. Do you know how scary that is? And especially, you're braver when you're younger. I used to do it all the time. I liked that, but and now I know why. But now, as an adult, how the hell am I going to do all that? Like, and my mom, like, she's 6 evictions now. 6. Mom, I begged you, okay, let me come home. I give up. Fine. I had it set that the judge was going to close the case. Agreed to let me come home, live with her. Fine. I'll be nice for 6 months and I'll move. Well, then she said that she felt pressured to agree to that after I left the house. She called the social worker back. I wasn't even in the room. I was downstairs making a sandwich.
It seems she has a pattern of saying one thing in front of somebody and then doing whatever the heck she wants the minute she leaves.
And I recorded this because Nana forgot to hang up the phone once. And I kept recording, like, what? Trying to listen. And she was talking about my car, that she was going to give me the documents so I could put it in my name in order to save the repo. That happened literally 7 days later. But Nana said she didn't have, that my mom said she didn't have the information. Yes, she does. I know that. They went to your house. Nana doesn't remember. I said, whatever, just tell her to get me the documents. I'll do it as soon as possible. Well, before she hung up the phone, she's telling my mom that I never got a ticket, something about a ticket. I go, I didn't get a ticket. Well, then she goes, I don't care. The fucking car's gone, screaming. You can hear my child crying, both of them. What the fuck I did to raise such a piece of shit? And Nana goes, well, I don't know. I know the car's gone, because she's yelling at my grandmother because my grandmother was helping me. See, and she has cut off everything, like my dad said, everything I have to fight with, she's taken away. Now my home, she knows if I lose this home, I lose the house. My kids were supposed to be released to me completely. She and unlimited visits until they were, fully in my home. I had to do certain things that the court wanted me to do because my mommy called them and said, oh, she's on drugs. Okay, what the fuck?
Maryann.
Off of drug testing, everything. But the foster parent's voice in reports is just as important as a social worker. So she has taken every chance she can to slander me, including hearsay from the abuser that she said was the reason that she disowned me, which she did. Now she's buddy-buddy with him.
Maryann, doesn't that fit into the narcissistic thing to segregate a person and take advantage of them?
If they're trying to expose them.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing. And no one's believing me. And it came to the point that I had to stop. My dermatologist who retired told me the best information and advice that anybody's ever given me. God, I love this woman. She said, because I was crying to her, please, can I get some kind of something to show them that I'm not on drugs for my skin? She goes, honey, I remember she put her hand on me and she goes, do me a favor, breathe. I go, okay. And she goes, don't let them make you look crazy. You're not crazy. And I go, what? She goes, don't let them even make you crazy. You're not. And it took me a while to think about it. I go,
it seems like they do all these little things to push you there.
They're antagonizing. They're poking. So then when you flip off, oh, look, she went crazy. She's violent. That's what my ex used to do to me.
Well, there's a book that was written by Dr. Lynn Steinberg called You're Not Crazy. And it's an excellent book. Dr. Lynn Steinberg.
Does she do a podcast?
She was on one of my podcasts maybe a month or two ago. And a lot of people don't understand this whole situation that you're going through until they go through it themselves. And right, Mark?
Then then it sounds like a copy of your story, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's a really good podcast called I Believe Your Abuse. And oh my God, she's amazing. And I felt that happened to me too.
And ladies, that's only half of the coin. You got the other half, which I suffer from more than that, is the depression you go through. Not seeing your children, having to work and worry about things. And then, fighting these cases, it's literally like a career.
It is a lifestyle.
I have literally fought for 40% of my lifetime. 40% of my life.
That's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm like, Well, let's do it. Let's get our good fight. Let's get some boxing gloves on, because whatever fight he's started, I'm almost like his, what is it? The apprentice, because I'm going to keep pushing it, because I have to, no matter what.
When I prevail in court in Los Angeles, because I am going to get them for this defamation, slander, and libel, you and your children, based on what I've seen in Hardwick, I mean, if everything that I know to be a fact, you've got yourself a good Hardwick lawsuit, because they can't use a report against you in which they put false allegations and false details.
And if you go back to due process all the way, I mean, even if you went to the beginning of the case, somebody else's case information in a petition for removal. What? I mean, it's what did you say, that phrase? I can never remember. When there's one lie, there's numerous.
Oh, it's a legal axiom. It goes, falsus in omnibus is falsus in omnibus, which means when you lie about one thing, you're considered in court to lie about all things.
Yes, and it is, they taught you that. I learned that in law school too. I just didn't remember it. And basically, I brought that up to my attorney. I think I'm scaring her now, because she doesn't want to piss off the people she sees at work every day. She knows I'm on something, because she's barely stand out. She's kind of kissing my behind. But she also won't do things I know she would get my kids back.
Well, if you remember, when I first started helping in your case, you had me talk to Ms. Glaze. And at first she was apprehensive until I explained some of the things she was doing, because you thought she was just 100% against you. And I explained to you what she was doing and how it worked in the court, the procedures of it. Yeah. And you kind of calmed down and you had a better grasp of it. And then she calls me up and goes, no, I actually like what you're doing. And she started working with me and working with you together so that I could explain these things. And then lo and behold, CPS and their lawyer turn around and nix that by making false claims of me being a predator. And I mean, my case is, 20 years long. It was back in 2006 that my ex-wife attempted this one time, and they rode that horse for 6 years until I caught them in court, and I have the transcript for anyone that needs it. But the judge, Nancy K. Schaefer, in 2012, said no less than 3 times in court, Mr. Andrews, I'm not going to find a thing of false allegation. There was an issue, you were investigated, and you were completely exonerated. Nothing happened with my daughter other than I caught her coming out of a tree rather than letting her fall 10 feet down on her back. Mm-hmm. And I suffered, it was horrifying, like depression. And I think a lot of people call it PTSD because I've never had it diagnosed, but everybody says all the things I go through seem to do that. And I'm actually starting to get it again because thinking I had to fight 6 years against my ex-wife, her attorney, and the court just to get over one allegation. Now here it is 10 years later in a thing that's been gone, and this lawyer just resurrects it to screw over Michelle. And the fact is, that lawyer, Deborah Franks, works for county council. And if it's needed from anyone, I have my report of the investigation from county council, which means she had access to that report and should know those facts. She didn't do her due diligence. She just listened to some hearsay that was told from Lisa Hughes, which is foster mother.
I don't even think she was the one that told it. It was CPS that told them. My mom didn't know that.
Well,
I think
that's where I was going. Lisa Hughes told the investigator, Laura Lopez, who put it in the report, which in a very libelous fashion.
Never even asked me either.
And then they handed that to the county council, and she just ran with it. And it ends up being a nightmare scenario. And regardless of what happens to me as an adult, I mean, I can deal with it. But those 2 children suffer that much longer in Lisa Hughes' care because those ladies couldn't get their crap together and do their job.
And mind you, this individual, my ex, who started the case, my mom said, see, you never should have been involved with him, blah, blah. They wouldn't even let him on her property. Everyone knew it was him. He went to Tarzana Treatment Center, which I forced him to go. And they didn't even have case or house managers. So he was coming over until I put a stop to it, trying to sleep with me and then run home to his girlfriend. This was a mistake. And under the influence, mind you. And I would call and tell them, look, this guy's here again. And I call her, like, can you come get your boyfriend? And he told me the last time, if you call, I will make sure the girls do not come home. I will oppose anything you say. And I called the police. Well, they didn't arrest him. They said they'd arrest me too. Well, when he went to court for his strangulation, which he violated, he was never in his classes. They brought it up, and guess what they did? He retaliated by affecting my kid's case. He is allowed to call my kids every night, act like daddy of the year, but knows he can go see them anytime. He has no schedule. He's opened. He never goes because he's a piece of shit, excuse my language, because he just wants to fit. He's narcissistic. He doesn't care. Even his boss fired him finally because he said, Michelle, I had to call and tell you I owe you an apology. I go, why? He goes, narcissist sooner or later, inconsistencies and stories. Michelle, you're innocent. And he told me he was going to do whatever he could to hurt you, including mess with your kid's case. He said, I can't stand there for that. Like, no. And so my abuser now has teamed up with my original abuser, my mom, who disowned me for dating him, mind you, and has, spun a huge snowball of attack Michelle. Mind you, I'm not allowed to call. And every time I do, she says I'm inappropriate. No, she is. She started yelling at me once, and I walked out of the room and left. My daughter crying. I said, baby, I got to go. I'm not doing this. I kissed her on the forehead, walked out. The CPS report, she claimed that I was inappropriate, so I was to do parenting classes for the third time. So I did. And my daughter, I said, well, you used my daughter's voice in all these other reports. She was in the room. Why didn't you ask her who was yelling? Oh, they couldn't do that. Why not? You heard her voice in every other report. She was there. Oh, no, they won't do that. Oh, wait a minute. My mom has cameras all through her house. Ask her for that footage. Oh, she said someone hacked her Wi-Fi. Convenient. You know, it's just everything I say is incredible too. They said because I hired a therapist and through the newspaper at the time, I didn't know how to do this kind of stuff. And she took my money, had 2 sessions, and I guess she was a fraud. Well, then I got another therapist before anybody knew about this and just started seeing her through my insurance. Well, I guess when patience was removed, they called the original one. They gave me a note. And they didn't even bother to ask me. I said, yeah, I'd never heard from her. She changed her number. So I went ahead and hired another one. Why is that bad? Well, now I'm not credible in court. I'm like, I'm admitting you. I'm not going to tell you something was bad in my life. And I used the metaphor when I had roommates, they were moving out. And they said, well, who are these people? I go, those are my roommates, but I'm not telling you where they live. They're moving out because the kids are coming home. And then she was mad I didn't tell her some other small detail of, I don't know, a medication or something. And I go, it's constipation medication. And I go, what, do you want me to tell you what way I wipe when I go to the bathroom too? Well, she put that in the report. And she lied and said I didn't do a couple things that the court asked me to. Yes, I did. And she also never got me the family in-home whatever services. That was her role. So then they took away and put me back on monitored.
And I can tell you, Maryann, I've been out to Michelle's house. I mean, it looks like a house that's just waiting for some children. There's all toys neatly in the corner. She keeps the house up, you know, like a mom would. And other than suffering from some serious PTSD symptoms, which I needle her for, she's a good gal, and she's worth, it's worth me stepping into this to help her fight for these children. And me, I'll fight for children any day of the week who are being abused in this way, because it just,
God bless you.
It sickens and repulses me that they will go out of their way to discredit one human being instead of going out of their way to get the facts, and the facts are there to be had.
I just, my little girl is now being given mental health services. My mom had me, and according to my medical records that I got, she had me literally drug testing and pregnancy testing at 8 years old. I was, what, Mom? I don't remember my childhood, mind you. She had me taking Zoloft, crushing it. I do remember crushing it. This is when I ran away to my grandparents. Crushing it into my apple juice and watching me drink it. She said, we never did that. I go, yes, you did. I remember this, and so they were trying to med me up, to shut me up. And my dad told me once, I said, why did you break up? Why did you guys not get along? He goes, your mom wanted to control me and I wasn't going to be controlled. So, and then she took you guys and I punched her in the face. I go, well, can't really blame you. But then, of course, I thought it hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh my God. So now Faith is in my shoes, being scapegoated. Everything, when I'm over there, she's getting yelled at constantly. Yeah, I mean, my daughter even, Grandma get mad. Grandma yell. Okay, you don't yell at my fucking kid. I even told her once, I go, shut up, Mom. I'm handling it. Like, I'm sorry. I told her to eat the popsicle at the fucking table. Faith, you know better. We go outside. Okay, Mom, I didn't know better. It's my fault. Don't yell. Well, she should know. She's 4. 4.
Aw.
4. Okay, leave off my kid. But now when I see this, oh my God, it makes sense. Faith is me. And Patience is the other siblings. And I thought, oh, I got to get Faith out of this. And now when I read that report that they want mental health services, first of all, whatever that social worker thought in her head to react that scene with my kid, you sick fucking bitch. I just cringe. She gave my daughter a Barbie and said to reenact the visits. Well, when it was time to go, she threw the mommy Barbie because my mom always makes me sneak out or hides. And she took the baby back and tried to give her a hug. She goes, no, takes it out of her hand and throws it away. It's not supposed to go like that. Mommy just leaves. I want a new mommy that doesn't have to leave. So now she gets mental health services, which my mom is probably going to put her on some kind of Zoloft, whatever, say she's bipolar, I don't know, to drug her up, to shut her up.
And I can tell you, Maryann, from my experience, I was skeptical at first about the mother. And after my one visit and what I've experienced through CPS because of her mother, I can tell you this woman has some serious twists up there. And yeah, it's really horrifying.
It's very sickening. She sounds like, well, an
sociopath.
Emotional abuser. Yeah.
And
So
on top of that, now I look at it as if she had the opportunity to kill me, she would, 101%. And I firmly believe this, and no one's even believing me. I'm like, look, I don't care if I don't get my kids back. I get it. In my head, I'm already stuck on that. I'm not going to win. Get them out of her home. Yeah, I have other family members. I don't care. Get them away from my mom, who's been dining on me and my older brother, who's now in Texas. Since she left my dad, my biological father, they had this huge $30,000 wedding. They broke up. Then she had a $50,000 wedding, but somehow she never got the marriage license on your second wedding because she wanted to collect welfare from my older brother and I. You know, and they all overlooked this until all of a sudden my stepdad and her needed to get married. They never had the right paperwork, she said, for the adoption.
And I can also verify, Maryann, looking at some of this evidence, being I worked for 15 different investigators, I saw where her mother took $50,000 out of the grandmother's account.
Right before she took her out of my home.
And put it in her own account. I spoke to the grandmother, and when I delivered those heart meds, and she was exclaiming to me that, she goes, well, both my daughters own that house in Burbank. I said, no, ma'am, that's incorrect. I have a copy of the deed. It's only Lisa Hughes on the deed. She's ousted her sister on it. There's a lot of financial and what I looked at was medical elder abuse in this case. And we're working on getting those things together for the Burbank PD to start enforcing that through Adult Protective Services. As a matter of fact, when I was there, her mother thought I was there because of the money they were hiding in a savings account, she told me. And I wasn't there for that. I was there to give Miss Ross, her grandmother, those heart meds and see if I could help Michelle get some visits. But that short amount of time was very enlightening as to what Michelle goes through.
Mark actually called me saying, look, they're willing to do this for you. I said, no, Mark. He's like, Michelle, just try with them. I hung up and I cleaned my whole house. That's what I do when I'm mad. I'll clean. Okay. And I thought that I was going to have to cut Mark off because I'm not working with them anymore. And he calls me back a couple hours later and he goes, all right, I'll give it to you. She fooled me. I go, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, I just got the phone with an MPPD. I go, oh God, what happened? And he goes, she called the cops on me. And Nana spoke to me after he left saying how pleasant he was, but she can't get Nana's hearing aids batteries because she didn't want Nana to hear what she does. She called the cops on Mark, but I bet you Nana didn't even know. Because Nana talked to me right after he left and said how pleasant he was, blah, blah, blah. She probably called the social worker. Social worker said, you need to call the police because he's someone credible helping me. I've stopped reaching out, finally. And I gave up. And then I saw his video and I thought, no. And I meant to shut it off. And I thought, you know what? Try. And I tried 3 times and he answered. I go, I know this sounds crazy, but I think I need your help. And this is a movie. I'm sorry. This is not my life. I just want to be normal. I was married to a firefighter. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's a cool movie, huh? No, that's my life. That's my life now. And now like I said, I can't let this go in vain. No matter which way this does end, I'm going to take, if we do lawsuits, which there will be, no matter what, I want to give back to those mothers
Two
and
beautiful
fathers.
girls are worth fighting for.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll fight.
Every minute you spend is worth it.
Yeah, and I'll fight from a distance. Literally, I walk to the dollar store. My mom repoed my car. But I was just about to sign permanently on a BMW. However, because I work, I don't like the car and the payments were too high, so I give it back. So I'm still in the auto, that remember that Honda thing? So I could refer helping hand,
And she's done some work for my company out there, working on
I'll do that.
to get her licensing, so she can become a court officer like I am.
Oh,
but
good.
I walk down every week, once a week, because I don't like to $5 a gallon, but I literally send once a week my grandmother and my girls' cards. If I can't call, I can't come over, then you know what? And I call still, no answers. Then I send cards. And I don't know if they get them, but I take pictures and make sure that I have a huge folder. So when they do find me, and there'll be a day, I'll be like, I never stopped.
Right.
What can I do? My hands, and I can't allow them to put me in prison, because then they're going to think that I'm that monster, because I do not ever want to be in the same room with my mom again.
Well,
And
she is committing child psychological abuse on your daughters.
And me, my whole life. And now that I see it, I'm like, okay, my trigger is you. Stay away from me for your own safety and for mine. Because she was adopted by Nana, mind you. So I said this once to her, and I felt so bad, because I'm not a mean person. I hate hurting people. I said, just because your mom didn't want you and you didn't want me doesn't mean I don't want my daughters. And I hated myself, because that's my mom. I should be talking like learning to respect, but no, you're my mom. You failed. Those are my babies. I'm that mom, and I'm not going to fail. I'm not. So I'm determined. And I love my mom. I pray for her every night. Whatever is in her heart feeling, please, Mom, just forgive whatever's going on. Money doesn't make happiness. Trust me. I don't want the money. I want my kids. But I will never sit down at another Thanksgiving dinner, break bread with you ever again. Now let me go in peace and let my girls come with me. I'm not your dollar sign. I'm not your dollar sign, and neither are theirs. And this system is designed. I mean, my domestic violence, I know each situation may be different, but domestic violence, in order for you to be in a domestic violence relationship long enough for CPS to get involved, means it's comfortable long enough from childhood. So usually 9 times out of 10, the victim is in a toxic family unit as a child, which means on the front page of their website, it says, to successfully get out of the system, what do you need? A solid, good family support system. Well, if you look at domestic violence situations, those victims 9 times out of 10 do not have that. Okay. So it's almost a target, like in the bag. Okay, let's just defail them, take it, spin everything, and everyone will jump in on her. And that's what we win. So they know, I mean, they know exactly what they're doing. And in other situations, drugs, let's say my ex was he had substance issues. In drug situations, I look at these parents, because I don't believe in substance. I don't believe in addiction, but I do believe in chemical dependency and whatever the person believes in that's crutching them, whatever. So if you're telling me you're going to take the child from the people, their motivation to not do the drugs, how does that make sense? Give them treatment together. Do what the separation from the child is not working. I mean, unless you're, like I said, physically raping, whatever, this is torture.
And what's truly sad, Maryann, is, you get to uncover, you've done my story on your show. You're now doing Michelle's. There are thousands and thousands of these across the country, and it's all because of Title IV funding
And I hate to
to
say this.
courts and family law systems.
They say that kids are too young to speak in court, so they're not heard. Okay. Because of that video that I went live, I've had both. I had to stop looking at the negative. Okay. I mean, sometimes I'll fight back. I'm like, you know what, whatever. But I've had parents secretly message me. It's just saying I'm their inspiration, the reason they keep fighting, gives me literally chills, because some of them I will respond to, some of them I don't. Forgive me if I don't, but I try. But there's some of them that aren't as strong.
And there is some good news out here, Maryann. I just uncovered it. Granted, it happened, I believe, the fall of 2020, but California state legislature passed a Senate bill, I believe it's 1141, and it's about coercive contact. I know I'm getting the second word wrong, but it's when one parent keeps the child away from the other parent.
Coercive control.
There you go.
It's
That's
a cycle of abuse.
It is now in the law in California that can be used to affect and switch custody in the best interests of the child. So
Excellent.
Highlighting these cases like your show does, like Mark Fiedelman down in Kids Matter down in San Diego. We've got Dad Talk down there in Georgia with Eric Carroll and his group. Just the fact that a couple of us are, starting to expose this stuff, we're starting to make some headway.
Exactly. And, like I said, these voices that cannot be heard, these little voices, these little kids, well, also those parents that haven't been so strong or had the resources to do this, just stay strong. But those who couldn't stay strong, I'm making us heard. I just want to tell them I'm making us heard, and I'm not going to stop because of them. Like my kids, like I have children, but I mean, you got to keep going for those people. Don't let it be vain.
Dr. Roseman wrote a book called Preserving Family Ties. And what he's saying in that book is when children are taken away from a parent, this will affect 6 generations to come. And look what's happening to you, and then now to your daughters, and we have to break the cycle. It's very difficult. And I give you so much credit.
We are supposedly considered animals. Okay. In court systems, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but I do know there's an animal instinct, and then there's some other one. There's animals and plants and animals or something like that. It is an animal, if you're a mother, a maternal instinct. And as you know, instinct, like birds flying, you cannot go against your instinct. It is a maternal instinct to defend your young. Okay. If I am considered
bear syndrome.
Yeah. If I am considered an animal, and I'm just going to pick a bear because Mark and I have quoted this. I'm a mama bear. Y'all just took my cubs. What happens if a real bear sees that? I'm going to rip your face off. Okay. And I'm going to rip this face off. I'm sorry for those in my path who did this to us, and those, I mean, like I told you before, please provide my email, even my phone, my home phone, please. Yeah. Provide my phone number. Those parents that just need someone to talk. I feel you. Call me. I get it. You get so alone. This ripped up generations of my family on top of your confident. I don't even talk to my normal friends in fear because I'm not normal anymore. I can't sit there and barbecue with your happy little families. I'm destroyed. So I get it. Yeah. And that's why I got so close to Mark, is because we're not destroyed. We're reborn. And we're not normal, whatever normal is, but I see him. I can relate to him, so I'm comfortable. Those who haven't gone through it, like I said, every freaking holiday, my door's open to him. No matter if it's a box on the street that my mom put me in, or if it's here in my family home that was my grandmother's before I was born.
Michelle, how can parents reach you if they have a question?
My Facebook is Michelle Annette Hollander. They can reach me through that, but for some reason it goes in, requests or whatever, but I would suggest, that be their primary, or they can call me. Please feel free.
Okay. You sure you want to put your phone number up here?
Well, I mean, it's everywhere else. I really don't care. It's a phone call. You want to talk to me? Call me.
So what is your number?
It's 818-846-8356. As long as you're not a telemarketer. And it's not a texting line. You know, it's my home phone.
And that's 818-846-8356.
Yep. As long as I got the bill paid. I don't like to use cell phones. I really don't. It takes
Right.
out of that personal, but what do we say? Personality
Mhm.
and intimacy of the conversation. You know, I want to hear your voice. I want to see who you are, to sincerely grasp what you're about, you know. And I know it's a very lonely place, and you beat yourself up. If you're a Capricorn or an empath, that's not a good combination like I am. So you need to reach out.
Maryann, as we've talked about before, we as parents across this country, from border to border and from ocean to ocean, we need to put down the petty little differences in our cases and bond together, because when we start bonding together, we become a louder voice.
You know,
and we start to affect change.
You know, I mean,
we did with this Senate bill in California.
He said a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. When did that pass? Do you know when that bill passed?
I know it was the fall of 2020. I just don't know which month, because I just read it. I posted it on my Facebook page.
No,
thank you.
The other thing is, one thing I said to Mark, and he says, you need to say that out loud on a podcast. I said, look, I'm not perfect. I'm that rough around the edges, old bartender mom. I'm that mom in the community. The other mom's like, you can't play with her, or, you know, whatever. I you know, drank out of a hose as a kid. Now I can't. I'm a bubble girl. But I had macaroni out of a box. Now I just do organic. The point is, I'm not perfect. I don't have money, and I don't have the best mouth. I get that. I'm working on a swear jar. But how does that make me not good enough to be a mom? Because you said so? Look, I do things like I explained to you differently in my house. But because I don't make what you guys want me to be, I'm not good enough to be a mommy? I'm sorry, but that's bullying. That's sure adult bullying, and you are good enough. You don't have to have somebody tell you what is good enough for them. I am so proud to be here alive today. I did surgeries alone. My ex left me after 10 years to some chicken rehab alone, and then left me on the floor that I had to call 911 because I had tubes coming down my chest. I have been here screaming, God, please take my life. I don't know what I'm living for. And I'm too afraid of pain, and I cannot kill myself. One, with my luck, it go wrong, and two,
my neighborhood.
And I'm happy. I love life. I remember they said, my therapist said, make a you know, a thing and frame of what you want to be and who you look up to. Mark said this. He liked this in my guest bathroom. Well, I'm walking around the house aimlessly for weeks. I don't know where I'm going to put this. No, it's a long one, right? And the pictures are all of me before I had kids. I was always down for whatever. Let's go, you know, adventure. I love life. I was a professional snowboarder. I love the air in my lungs. I hate the snow. So, you know, I surf so hard. I try and I fail. I suck, but I love doing it. So my thing is, I put it right in front of the toilet. I was sitting there one day and I was like, why is it so empty? Oh my God, light bulb. So that's what I'm saying is, like, look into yourselves, guys. You got this. You got this. Stay strong. Reach out to people who understand you're not broken. You're reborn, and it's okay if you're not like them. You don't have to be. You're individuals. And parents, we learn just as much as our kids. It's not perfect. There's no instruction manual.
And I think the most valuable thing that Michelle conveys there is that despite wallowing in a sea of hell, fighting for your children, there is hope. There is a zest for, you know, being a parent, for, you know, that life that shouldn't have been interrupted by our government actors. So, you know, there's help out there. You know, I
believe your abuse. I believe you guys.
People. I know Eric Carroll's helped a few people there from Georgia. He did the John Mast documentary about the father who got shot while going to pick up his kids after 2 years and no visitation. You know, we do what we can, but we need to keep banding together. And I want to thank you, Maryann, for this platform for which to share and highlight these problems that are out there. And hopefully it opens up discussions amongst all of us for solutions in these matters.
And support each other. No, don't judge each other. That's not our job, guys. We're not, lead by example. Don't judge.
When we band together, we can be one voice for change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are
And,
Americans, and we can get through anything, and we are better than this.
Black Lives Movement,
Definitely.
I support it, but this is family lives movement. Like, this is normal. This is parents movement.
Definitely.
No matter what it is. Like, I
I'm
would
honored.
love
I'm
to
so honored
talk
to
to
have
those
you.
people.
Definitely. And I'm so honored to have you both on, and it's good to keep talking and spreading the word and speaking out, and hopefully people will catch on and get this sorted out. And I totally thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
Don't jump off. Slam the Gavel's a podcast. Help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I'm your host, Maryann Petri, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Please join us again in the future for another exciting episode here with Mark and Michelle. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Maryann.
Thank you.